And so, oh, I just realized. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the Caring for Caregivers series. And so, for the past couple of days, I've been sharing with you my experience with caregiving and what I have learned. And I wanted to share them with you so that one, you don't think that you are all alone. And then two, know that there are things, tangible things and intangible things that you can do to care for yourself because of the fact of when it comes to being a caregiver, whether it's for your parents, your grandparents, a loved one, whoever that may be, in that it directly impacts you emotionally, physically, and even sometimes for some of you, it could be financially. And one of the things that can happen unintentionally, it can really take a toll, on you. There are statistics out there that says that caregivers can end up, you know, having medical problems because they're a caregiver, having a medical break. I mean, having a mental breakdown when it comes, and then also can burn out. And so there are things that you can do. And I wanted to highlight three things I feel like that's really important. I'm not going to review them all. So for those of you, who are following me, you'll be able to go on to YouTube and to be able to review them. And some of them may be on TikTok as well. But I want you to remember, especially for those of you who are entrepreneurs and caregivers, who are executives and caregivers, and those of you who oversee employee wellness programs, who are caregivers, but you know that if you're over employee wellness programs, some of the employees are caregivers, because the more that you take care of yourself as a caregiver, then the more productive you would be. For those of us who are entrepreneurs, it comes to our calling, because you are more than the caregiver, even though it's for a loved one, especially when it comes to our parents, in that, like for some of us, it's a no-brainer. I would like to say for most of us, but that's not always the case, because everybody's upbringing and relationship with their parent is different. And it's extra hard for individuals who may not have a connection, or a relationship with their parents, and they end up, I just say that opportunities end up coming up. Everyone has different, faults. That's just almost like, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but it's almost like, when sometimes parents can be verbally abusive and it doesn't stop, like when they were a child, it still continue as an adult. And some people have the attitude, but that's your parent. And you can never tell someone what they ought to do with their life. That's your, like whatever opinion that you have, whatever belief that you have in that, do not tell someone else. Because even as a therapist, even though I can literally see someone being abused, especially verbally abused, by their reporting, I have to say, in that. And even if it is, as long as it's not physical, but even if it is something that I see, it's still up to the person or whether or not they're going to stay in that relationship. And so as caregivers, because I know some caregivers, they are, sometimes given a hard time because they may need to make a choice of whether or not, to seek outside care. And so that's just one thing I want to kind of like highlight, because I see it. So the three things that I want to highlight regarding of what I have learned in being a caregiver, and I wanted to pass that learning on to you because I want to be able to share my experiences that I've had personally. I want to be able to educate you, from what I know by being a licensed clinical social worker and what I study and what I see, as well as a therapist and helping individuals, and even from past work that I've done in crisis work and everything else. And then also so that you can execute something. So, with the three things, I feel like that is really, really, really important so that you can implement these into your life so that they can become a part of your practice, a part of your life, part of it as a caregiver, but just by being human, just by leading. One of the things that I shared with you, one of the tips that I have that is non-negotiable is to breathe. Even if you got to go in the closet, go to the bathroom, step outside for a minute, put your hand on your heart. If you want to close your eyes, you can. I always like closing my eyes and take that breath. If you're not able to do it for 5 minutes, do it for 5 breaths 5 times. Even if you don't understand it, continue to do it. Because of the fact you will feel a difference. The more that you do that, you will see a difference because of the fact the toll that caregiving has, just even emotionally. Like for me, it was more emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't even the primary caregiver. Some of it was because of what my parents was going through. Of course, that's going to impact, a loved one. But it's also, of making sure that things were in place. There's so many different things. And so to offload it, and again, as I said before, it doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't love them. So if there's anyone out there, if you're trying to shame someone because something is hard, shame on you. So for those of you who are caregivers, put your hand on your heart because you matter too. And take that breath. And do that 5 times. If you don't have 5 minutes, do it 5 times. 5 breaths, 5 times. And that's going to be something that can really, really help you. Because in order for you to have the stamina, the energy, and to be able to think clearly, for those that you care about, they need you, but you are beyond a caregiver, which leads into the second thing I want to highlight. One of the things that I was talking about is how do you maintain your identity? And pretty much how do you not lose yourself? And for me, I'm going to say for a certain time frame, because there were different phases and when it came to my parents' medical challenges, medical mayhems, in that personal development is something that really, really helped. And so if you have a hobby, if you have a personal passion, find a way. I'm like this, even if you do it inside your mind, that is a way. Because of the fact, the more I know in this world, it's like, oh, you got to give, you got to give, you got to do for others. I'll say this, the more that you do not pay attention to yourself, it sucks the life out of you. It can really suck the life out of you. So it's not about you being, selfish or anything. Sometimes it may be an inconvenience. You may not be able to do the thing for extended period of time, but if you're able to do something related to something that you have a personal passion about, something to help, maintain the balance of you, because if not, sometimes when you disconnect with yourself or detach with yourself, it can be a harder road to get to. And you really do hear people talk about that. Jacqueline, Mama, my mom, she talks about that, as well as what life is like after her mom has passed, of her getting back to herself. And so you can use that as an example. I know, like for me, I would say I would say this. There was a time in which I had lost myself. And like when I tell that particular story, in that I would say that I don't know what led to it. And the only reason I say I don't know what led to it, because in looking back, there were several variables, because I didn't realize that had happened until after one thing, when I was quote unquote healing, recovering. And when I look back, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know. Because again, it's not that I would just say things add to it, my own personal things that I'm going through, as well as all of the other things. And so those are some of the things that can happen, in which you can lose yourself by being a caregiver. And you're here beyond and being a caregiver. That's the whole point. Your identity is beyond that, beyond being, a mom, a parent, a spouse. It's you. And so that's the other thing. And then the last thing I want to highlight, which I feel like is really, really important, in community care. And what I had highlighted and what I had said was that I really feel like it's really important to be involved in a community, specifically for caregivers. I would say, in looking back, even though I'm a resourceful person, and I was focusing more so on my parents to make sure they got what they needed, and connecting with resources and doing different things. And I really did feel like that I was okay, not saying that I wasn't. It was just a lot going on. Again, I'm going to say, especially like the last sprint of that. But in having community care, specifically for caregivers, they'll be able to, one, you have someone that you can identify with. There will be some resources that just may, I'm going to say that the general public outside of that may not even know. There may be, certain resources just for you. And there's just something about being in community with that. So again, these are three things that I wanted to highlight. Again, there's community care, personal development, and to breathe, to be able to do that, because you matter, and your identity is beyond the caregiver role that you have, because of the fact that when they no longer need your care in that particular way, whether that comes from, recovery or rehabilitation, or even with their passing, we want you to be healthy. And we want you to be you, and not completely in recovery and healing stage because of that. But anyway, thank you for listening. And for those of you who want to learn more, who wants to contact me, pretty much let me know so that we can connect. And one of the ways that you can do that is in the Fortitude Free Circle. The Fortitude Free Circles is for entrepreneurs and for executives, and for those who are over employee wellness, because of the fact, when it comes to all of this, it's important for you to take care of yourself first. And we need reminders. We can't do it completely on our own. And that's one of the things that has really helped me, is because I was connected in some form of fashion with different communities. And even if I was just hearing, it still helped me. And the same can come from you, because you do not want to lose yourself, because you want to be able to be there for other people in your lives, but mainly to be there for you. So I look forward to connecting with you all who are ready to pretty much thrive under pressure.